How's it going, everybody? RazingHel here, and today I'm doing sort of a follow-up to my 5 ways to kill a Deerclops video. One of the methods people who watched it felt I sort of omitted from that video was the ability to kill a Deerclops during the night, during the winter, without freezing. Not only that, but the original video had me killing the Deerclops that was in the original Don't Starve Reign of Giants game, which is significantly easier. It has half the health that the Deerclops and Don't Starve together has, so it was not exactly as representative of the current game meta, because everybody's basically playing Don't Starve together these days. So I'd like to sort of rectify that with this one, as well as give you a couple of tips about how you can make sure that your Deerclops hunting endeavor is successful. So one of the first things I'd like to mention that before getting into this, make sure that you go into the game options and you turn off lag compensation and the screen shake. This is going to make it significantly easier because you're not going to be rubber banding around the place whenever the game sort of glitches out, because you're not going to be able to tank the Deerclops unless maybe you're Wolfgang. I'm playing this through as Wilson so that everybody's here sort of has a neutral reference point. Wilson's pretty much the stock character. There's nothing bad about him really, but there's nothing all that good about him either. But by turning off these two options, you're not affecting the server itself in any way. You're simply affecting how your client reacts to it, and they're not considered exploits or anything either, so you won't be in any trouble for doing it. Disabling screen shake makes it a lot easier to actually focus on your target, and it can also be a little bit disorienting for some people when the screen shake is enabled. So if you've been having problems with giants, maybe you feel a little bit nauseous while fighting them or whatever, that might solve the problem for you. So when going into the battle itself, before you actually engage the Deerclops, make sure all of your criticals are maxed and make sure you go into battle well prepared. You're going to want to take around about 10 or so jerky. You can get by with less than 10, but if you do not do it ideally and you make a couple of mistakes, taking 10 jerky or so will make it much easier to avoid dying due to messing up your first or second try. So what you're going to want to do here is build a campfire away from your base. So when you hear the Deerclops coming, make sure you head out, equip a lantern, equip a torch, head out to an area that you don't mind the Deerclops trashing, and then throw down a regular little campfire. Put a couple of logs on that to make sure that you have plenty of light to fight the Deerclops by. Now, I personally wear winter headgear and a log suit. You can do it the other way around, but overall, stacking armor, the bonus is just not that great. So you're better off having the insulation rather than the additional small amount of armor. So like I said, I do log suit plus winter headgear. Make sure that you bring along 3 to 4 additional log suits, depending upon how many hits you're going to take. Yeah, 3, you can definitely do it with 3 additional log suits, but if you want to be a little bit on the safe side, go ahead and bring 4. It's better safe than sorry. I also always use the ham bat because it has unlimited durability. I try to craft one before engaging the Deerclops because as the ham bat rots, it becomes less efficient and deals less damage. So you're going to try to be fighting the Deerclops on top of this campfire. The campfire will help keep you warm, and I'm not exactly sure how well it prevents the Deerclops from freezing you, but I can definitely attest to the fact that it takes more than 2 hits for the Deerclops to freeze you if you're standing right next to the campfire. Now, it has happened to me in the past where I did get frozen by the Deerclops after about 3 hits, so you might want to run away from him for a little bit and try to warm back up by the campfire. You're supposed to be able to see your character become a little bit blue, but that's not always possible. That's sort of the hint that you're going to freeze, or that the next hit by the Deerclops will freeze you, is if your character turns a little bit blue. Like I said, though, that's not always easy to see when you're right in the middle of combat like that. So, like, what I do generally here is after 2 or 3 hits, make sure to walk away from the Deerclops a bit. It depends a lot on how close you are to the campfire, but the great thing about this is that being next to the campfire means, of course, you have a source of light. You're not going to be attacked by Charlie, but of course, you want to make sure that you have the campfire up to a good degree. Don't just throw the campfire down and then start fighting the Deerclops right away, because that's not enough wood to sustain the fight overnight, because the Deerclops generally spawns at dusk. So this is a problem everybody runs into, is that the Deerclops is present during the nighttime and you really have to do something with them. So as I mentioned before, 2 or 3 logs, just make sure that campfire that you place down is at its maximum. If there's anything next to it, of course, don't make sure you don't burn a forest down or something. That's always a possibility, but you want to make sure there is going to be enough life left in that campfire to survive the night and that way you don't have to try to add a log to it while the Deerclops is hammering on you to prevent, for example, the night hands. The night hands is something that I've dealt with in the past, where they'll come up because you're going to be going very crazy while fighting the Deerclops. So here we have the night hands coming up. They grab a log or two out of your campfire, and all of a sudden your campfire is half of its range left. But I can safely say that I'm at a point now where the Deerclops does not pose any threat to me in both Don't Starve and Don't Starve Together because of this tactic. So that pretty much sums up everything I had to say about this tactic for killing the Deerclops in Don't Starve Together. If you have not yet seen my 5 ways to kill a Deerclops video, be sure to go ahead and check that out. If you have any additional questions or suggestions, leave them in the comment section below and I'll try to respond or at least read them. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching as always, and I hope to see you next time.